This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour 2 here on Money Moves on a Friday alongside Ariel Epstein, who's out in New York City. Stormy Buonantony with you live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Still to come this hour, we have VSiN's own Mike Somich. He's going to help us break down what to expect with the Kentucky Derby around the corner. Also, prep race coming up this weekend. We will have VP of Operations here at Circa, Mike Palm, join us in studio as well. Really excited to get his thoughts on our own Brent Musburger finally getting his name input into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, winning the Pete Rozelle Award for 2025, and a whole lot more with him. Of course, we've got the Masters going on. We've got MLB, NBA, full slates, intrigue in the NHL. So much to get to over the course of the next hour or so. Do want to update you on the Masters leaderboard here so far. Justin Rose remains your standalone leader, but shooting just 1 under for the day right now, just bogeyed 14. Meanwhile, Bryson DeChambeau surging a little bit, 4 under for him to move to 7 under, 1 stroke back of Justin Rose for the lead. Matt McCarty, 4 under for the day at 5 under. He's moved up 8 spots alongside Sun J M to be in a tie for third. Corey Connors there, 1 under for the day, 5 under. And Ariel, still a bunch of guys still yet to get underway. We have not yet seen Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Joaquin Niemann, Minwoo Lee, Jordan Spieth, lots of names that people recognize about to get underway here this hour.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful of those afternoon winds that Scotty's going to get because it's going to pick up to closer to 20 miles per hour. And if anybody can attack it, though, it's Scotty Scheffler. He's going to be good for a head-to-head probably in the afternoon. He's slow and steady, not going to have to, whether it's like windy or whether it's like, it doesn't matter. He's rock solid. And Ludwig also on Saturday going to be huge because he's got the second place. He got second place last year and he's in the mix to win the tournament again. It's only his 6th round at Augusta, so pressure potentially could be mounting for him. So we'll see what happens there. But those are definitely 2 names I'm looking at on the board.
No doubt about it. Scheffler right now. So he had a round 1 4 under for the day. I think quieted a lot of doubters with the bogey-free performance. Tied for 2 after round 1 with, at the time, Corey Connors and Ludwig Åberg. But obviously that's 6th now on the leaderboard, considering the way some people are playing already. Did have a couple awesome putts yesterday. We saw the 64-footer on 4, another 42-foot birdie putt on 16 later on in the back 9. And so he was playing to form, and that's about as good as you want to be, right? Like after round 1, put yourself in contention, put yourself in a position. And for a guy who entered this tournament as a 4-1 favorite already, plus 240 on the live odds board, minus 250 to finish in the top 5, minus 650 to have a top 10 finish in this one. Bryson DeChambeau currently your second shot on the board at plus 310 live. Justin Rose, who I just mentioned, is your leader still, plus 750. Rory McIlroy, as well as Ludwig Åberg, sitting at 12 to 1. So throughout the hour, we will keep tabs on more of this, keep you updated. I'm not betting anything live right now, but I know a handful of people bet in on Rory coming into today, where he sits. Hold on, let me pull this up.
If you could get Rory too in plus money for a top 5 or a top 10, that's good value. Obviously, it's going to be tough for him to win the tournament, but if he finishes minus 4 today, you could definitely have a shot at Rory in the top 5 or top 10. And plus money again, I mean, you couldn't have got that without the live line.
So fell apart, obviously, yesterday in the back 4 holes, double bogeying twice. He is 2 under here so far through 10. Just had a birdie on the 10th hole, tied for 14th right now, but creeping up that leaderboard. So obviously keep all of those things in mind. I want to shift gears here to the NFL briefly. And I know it's the offseason. We still have a little bit of a ways before we get to the NFL draft, although the prop market continues to expand more and more in the draft. But we did get a signing earlier this morning. While I thought for the Browns, what was going to happen with them was they were going to get through the draft and then work out some sort of a deal with the Falcons to get Kirk Cousins. That was kind of one of those reports that was out there for a while. And I thought that made a lot of sense for the Cleveland Browns. Apparently, that is not the direction they're going. They agreed to a deal to bring back Joe Flacco as of this morning. 1-year deal, $4 million with incentives. It's worth up to $13 million. We know he had a lot of success with the Browns a couple years ago, 4-1 in the regular season, had that string string of 300-plus yard games, and then he throws 2 pick sixes against the Texans in the playoffs and doesn't look quite to that form against the Colts a season ago in relief of Anthony Richardson. What do you think of the signing and him coming back to Cleveland?
You said what'd you say before? It's something like it doesn't make sense, something along those lines. Well, it's the Browns. So of course it doesn't really make sense. Like, this is what the Browns do. They don't do what you thought was sensible, which is maybe go out and get Kirk Cousins. They do something out of the realm. Of course, you get Joe Flacco, who won Comeback Player of the Year while he was in Cleveland. My thought would be, at least Flacco knows this division very well, and he knows the coaches very well. Obviously, things have changed since he was in Baltimore, but he's been lingering through this division, whether it was Baltimore, whether it was Cleveland. He knows the Steelers, and he knows the Ravens. So outside of the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Flacco knows Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh, which is exactly what the Cleveland Browns are probably thinking if they need Joe Flacco to either be their starting quarterback this year or at least be a backup. He doesn't have to do as much homework on these head coaches.
Yeah. And I mean, conceptually, I guess on the surface, right, that the thought process of, okay, let's bring back in a guy that we know did have success with us in this offense, familiarity to your point. And for a quarterback room that currently is consisting of Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett, you did need something. Deshaun Watson, by the way, I don't know if you saw this on Instagram yesterday. He posted this video of him going through a workout and talking about the doubters and all of that. He said, everybody's doubting me. Everybody don't believe me. Everybody don't think that I can get back to where I was, but I know and I believe the work I put in, what I believe in myself, the peace that I've been channeling these last couple months. I know I'm going to be way better than before. And I get him trying to come out and say stuff like this makes sense after hearing Jimmy Haslam's comments about the, swing and a miss that they've had at the quarterback position, the lack of success that he's had since signing that massive guaranteed deal, the injuries he's had. I am of the belief, and I want to know your opinion on this, that Deshaun Watson is he might not play another down period for the Browns. I don't know if he'll play another down in the NFL the way that he's been at this point. The UFL is looking for a new face of the league since AJ McCarron's not out there. Maybe that's where Deshaun Watson's delayed. I don't know. He's been awful, with the exception of, and you'll know this well, one great half of football against the Baltimore Ravens. What has he done?
He's caused problems. That's the issue. Stormy, for anyone listening who's a gambler, and you usually don't like to bet on uncertainty. I mean, sports betting's already uncertain enough. Then you go and look, let's say, I'll compare it to, I'm just in baseball mode, so I'll compare it to a pitcher. If I see that a pitcher is erratic and he can have 10 strikeouts or he can have 2 strikeouts every other game, I'm probably not betting his strikeout prop because I can't get a read on if this pitcher is reliable enough. When I'm handicapping, I look for what has happened majority of the time in these similar situations. For Deshaun Watson, what has happened multiple times in these multiple situations is he's ruined his chances. He's had off the field issues. He's had injuries that probably also were from the off the field issues. I just don't trust Deshaun Watson. So if you're going to ask the Cleveland Browns to quote unquote put money on somebody, it's going to be someone that can at least show up to the field day in, day out, like a Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, not someone like Deshaun Watson. And I don't blame the Browns for trying to take a shot at Deshaun Watson when he was in a buy low situation. We all do it in the futures market. We like to find a buy low situation because there could be a high ceiling. But the ceiling has been reached now for Deshaun Watson, where he has proven he is just unreliable.
Well, yeah, they bought high on Deshaun. We know that.
Yes, I meant in a proverbial market of buying low when no one believed in him.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. They're in contract hell with him. And so I like that they at least got an outside option with somebody who has had success in that offense. Again, with bringing in Joe Flacco, the win total for the Cleveland Browns this year sitting 4.5. It is juiced to the over with the book thinking that they are more likely to get 5. In terms of the quarterback position,
25-1 to win the division.
Yeah, it's just isn't that? I want to say, is that the longest shot of all of the divisions? I have to.
If that is, that's
because the Raiders are 20-1, Jets are 14-1, Giants are 22-1,
27-1. Oh, I see 27.
On DraftKings, I see the Browns 30-1 in the AFC North. That's how bad it is.
You know, I'm curious how things shift a little bit after the draft, but I guess it's a wait and see game. But yeah, I think it's fun though. Like for me, I like to watch the odds move. So like I snapshot the odds now and then see after the draft, like, oh, who had the biggest impact according to the book.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good call. They do have the number 2 position overall in the NFL draft. We're up to minus 10,000 now for Cam Ward to be the number 1 overall pick. The Titans in that position seeming more and more unlikely, like they're going to trade out of that spot at number 2 now with the quarterback position. At least I don't know. I don't want to call it cemented, but it's like, I guess, wet cement right now, whatever they're doing over there. Travis Hunter is a minus 300 favorite now to be the number 2 overall selection, followed by Abdul Carter at plus 210. The Shador Sanders conversation dropped off a ton. He's 13-1 now to be the number 2 overall pick. And a lot of people are even questioning if he'll go in the top 10, which is interesting. So keep all of that in mind, no doubt about it. What, Brian? Brian was saying something to me in my ear, and I didn't know what it was. So good reminder. So coming up in the next segment, we do have Mike Somich, who is going to join us. We're going to get into plenty of horse racing talk. We're just a couple weeks away from the Kentucky Derby. Who doesn't love the Run for the Roses, which is also a good reminder. If you want to bet on the races, First Bet lets you wager on hundreds of horse races each and every day from top tracks around the U.S. and around the world when you sign up at firstbet.com. That's the number 1 stbet.com. Use our promo code VSiN200. You'll claim a 20% rebate your first 60 days up to $200. We'll be right back.
The Sports Betting Network.
Rolling along on this Masters Friday edition of Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM channel 158, alongside Ariel, Epstein, Stormy, Buonantony with you. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll do some Kentucky Derby talk with our guy Mike Somich. But Mike number 1, Mike Palm, in studio with us, VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino. Speaking of the Masters, lots to get to, and a very interesting bet that has been placed here at Circa that you guys are sweating fiercely from what I understand.
Well, you know, VSiN at the Track is now the rage of YouTube TV, which Mike Somich is now hosting on Fridays. So I'm glad that he'll be able to come on and talk about that and the road to the Kentucky Derby. It's nice to be with you and Keith again on a Friday. Hi, Ariel. How are you?
Hi, Mike Palm. Good to see you.
So...
You're a knucklehead.
On Tuesday, Jeff Benson sent a text to Derek Stevens, myself, Chris Bennett, who's our director here, and Jeff Davis, who is responsible for our golf and hockey and college baseball. Does it all. Former director at Caesars. He's great. Junkyard Dog on Twitter. A person that Jeff Benson used to work with in a previous life at another casino company reached out to him. He said, I have a really good bettor, a really good player, and his company is sponsoring Matt McCarty. I don't even know this name in the Masters, and he wants to bet 10,000 on Matt McCarty. So we were looking, Matt McCarty's odds are 775-1. So it's a bet to win $8 million if we took the whole bet. So then, then the conversation ensues, how much of this bet should we take? Should we take all of it? Should we take some of it? Jeff Davis makes a very good point. You shouldn't take a bet that would wipe out the profits of an entire sport for a year if it hit. Then there's the conversation, can he win? He's 770. The models say he wins 1 out of every 982 times, all this. Yeah. So anyhow, we talked to the customer. He ends up making the bet to win $2 million. Here he is 2 shots off the lead as he's concluding his round on Friday. His adjusted odds after round 1, when he was 3 back, went from 775-1 to 225-1. We'll see what they are tonight when this round. Of course, we don't know where the leaders are going to be at, but I think he's 6 under and Rose was 8 under.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the way that his round played out today. You had to be like happy in the morning.
Right at the beginning, it looked like it was over.
Double bogey. Only had, what is that, 8 birdie since?
Yeah, lock up the 2,400, right? No. The $2 million's back in play now.
Mike, there's big names here on this leaderboard. Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau climbed his way up. Rory McIlroy. Out of the big names, who does the book not want to see come out on top outside of what you just mentioned?
Yeah, outside of Matt.
So you know who our biggest liability was outside of McCarty? Vijay Singh, who withdrew. He had, 21 or 22 straight Masters. Scheffler is a really good result for us. And what the reason was, he was so short, right, that who wanted to bet him?
Yeah.
Nobody really wanted to bet Scheffler because the odds were just so short. So he's a good result for us if he should win. Heading into the round. Now, this was at 6 this morning. DeChambeau's a small loser for us. Rory's these are all small losers for us. Really, the only ones that really would hurt, Cam Smith would hurt, Spieth would hurt, and McCarty would hurt. Those are the only ones that are 6-digit losers for us. Okay. And on the opposite side, a lot of the leaders are 3 times that much and win if they would scoop it up. So we'll see as this progresses. But really, McCarty's what we're watching right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's smaller swings in there, but when you're talking about a $2 million swing as compared to a $350,000 swing, the scope is.
What did he know?
No, he's just sponsoring the kid, the company. So it's like, well, it's not. There's
let's just bet on it.
If he won, there'll be a big investigation,
insane,
right? I mean,
right? Just wild to think
Call
about.
U.S.
though.
Integrity.
Yeah, your leaderboard, where things sit right now. Justin Rose still atop the leaderboard, 1 under through 15 today for 8 under for the tournament. DeChambeau there 4 under today in standalone second. McCarty and Sungjae Im both at 5 under for the day. And we will keep tabs on a lot of the big names still yet to tee off. We haven't seen Scottie Scheffler yet, but he should be coming up soon. I know there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about, but one thing that I know that you have been talking about on this network for a while now is Brent Musburger and how he belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When you saw the news come through yesterday that it's finally happening, he's getting the Pete Rozelle Award this year, what did you think?
So I was at home. I've been moving. I haven't really been on property and just doing some hits here and there. And I just saw it pop up on Twitter from VSiN, and then Mitch and Paul were going to have him phone. And I was really elated for Brent because when you think about he called so many great college football games, but what that studio show, the NFL Today, did to popularize this sport and to take it to what it is today, the king of all industry, right? It affects so many lives. I mean, not just casinos, but think about all the bars and grills they do their whole year around the NFL because they're able to be that profitable in the fall and in those 5 months. So what he did with that show, and of course with Irv Cross and Jimmy the Greek and all the beauties that played their role, including Phyllis George and Jane Seymour, who we've had out here, Charles C. Canty, it meant so much. And he was really the forerunner to many of the things that we see today. And so it's well-deserved and overdue, and we say congratulations. I remember in what year was it, 2016 or whatever, Derek saying to us, they might be starting a network about sports betting, and the Musburger family is involved, and I want to go have lunch with them. This is well before PASPA. And I'm like, well, who's going to tune into this? People in Nevada? I mean, what's the reach of this network? And I remember he looked at me and he said, don't you want to go have lunch with Brent Musburger? What are you thinking? Why are you arguing against this? And so we went to the South Point. We had lunch with Brent and Brian Musburger and Bill Adie. And that was where Derek decided to make the investment and get in on the ground floor. And here we are today. So congratulations to Brent.
Seriously, congratulations to Brent. And he's created such a great world for all of us here at VSiN. And I know for sure I wouldn't be where I am today without this spot, especially SiriusXM. I know that's where people heard me for the first time. So thank you to Brent for everything, and very well deserved. I do want to ask you, Mike, about the NBA playoffs, which is coming up. The Denver Nuggets fired their head coach. How does that impact the way you guys have been booking Denver going forward?
Well, I was just talking about this because I was on with Raj and Mike Samford up at Stadium Swim. They're doing their show from there for Masters. The Nuggets are 16-1 to win the West. I mean, that's ludicrous to me. I mean, OKC is such a heavy favorite. It hasn't. We didn't artificially move the number. We're just going to let the money talk. We're not going to move it and say, they should be longer. Because Malone is gone, but I mean those are, and yet they're only 20-1 to win the whole thing.
Are they 17-1 here?
Yeah,
to win the West round?
Here.
Jeez.
So 16. So I mean, that's almost too hard to pass. If you ask 10 people who's the biggest threat to OKC, and I'm talking about people that bet the NBA every day, you'd get 6 different answers, right?
Yeah.
And here, the Warriors are the second choice to win the West at plus 525, and the Lakers are the third choice at 6-1. And I'm not an expert on the NBA. I draw a line through both those teams. I would rather have the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the T-Wolves coming to take a shot to win the West against OKC. I want our folks here to make a prop, and they might do it. I said, throw this up there, price it. 3 teams against the field. Boston, Cleveland, OKC against the field. How heavy of a favorite do you think the 3 would be?
I don't know. What would you put it at?
It's got to be north of $2, right? OKC's minus 155 in the West, and the odds of one of them coming out of the East are like the next choice. Indiana's like 12-1 or something like that, or the Knicks. So, I mean, it's got to be a heavy favorite. Yet, if you took the field, you'd have all those other teams in the West in the mix. And I think it'd be interesting to see where the action would take that number.
Especially because OKC's still such a young team.
They are, and so is Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, my default position is Boston, because the NBA is always incremental improvement, right? Nobody comes out of nowhere and wins the title. And OKC and Cleveland, 2 young teams, haven't gone to a conference final, haven't gone to a final yet. So it always seems like there's those stepping stones. I'd like the chance, Stormy. I know this is your show. But can I ask Ariel a question? Ariel, I added to my Cy Young portfolio Hunter Brown at 20-1 after his start. I don't know if this is part of the meltdown where they blew the lead to the Mariners the other day when he had a 6-0 lead. But he's been very consistent for 3 starts. I think he's going to get a lot of innings, and the strikeouts will be there. Your thoughts about Hunter Brown for Cy Young?
The same way you said, a lot of the times in the NBA, teams that have that experience end up winning the conference. I feel that way about Cy Young. I'm not going to take a shot at such a young pitcher who doesn't have a huge name and has to at least have the longevity of the season under his belt, because the way to a Cy Young, you have to be top 10 in strikeouts, and you have to have a sub-3 ERA. I'm just not going to jump on somebody who is doing well so early and have to consistently do that through the long course of the baseball season. I tend to like to look at pitchers that have more of that veteran experience, that I know they know how to make it through the course of the entire season. But it's good value for sure on Hunter Brown. I'm just sure there's another way you could probably play it, would be my guess.
My party words, thank you, Ariel. My party words are draw a line through the Dallas Stars. They are done. First of all, the fake ace Ottinger, he's a fake ace, okay? Second of all, them blowing that 3-goal lead with a minute to go. Did you see how
historically bad?
But did you see that's the biggest game of the year for them at Winnipeg, hosting Winnipeg? They still have a shot to be the 1 seed, and they came out with nothing last night. So I think Colorado's interesting.
And there they are, top of your odds board, by the way. Dallas Stars plus 650.
No shot.
Colorado third on the board, plus 850. Florida Panthers, defending champs, sandwiched in there at 8-1. We will talk NHL next week. Lock it in. It's my show, Mike.
Thank you, Stormy.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Horse racing fans, get ready. VSiN at the track. The road to the Kentucky Derby is live today and each and every Friday leading up to the Triple Crown. Another weekend of key Derby prep races coming up to break down the contenders for this year's Run for the Roses. Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman will be on the VSiN YouTube channel live immediately following Money Moves today. 2 o'clock, 2:10 Eastern on the VSiN YouTube channel. Don't miss it. VSiN at the track as we count down to the Triple Crown. And we are so fortunate here on Money Moves to welcome into the show now the aforementioned Mike Somich, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, co-host of Ready, Set, Bet. Of course, VSiN at the track, as I just mentioned. You can follow him on X at SamaBomb18. And I just need to get the elephant in the room out of the way. I know last segment I said Mike number 1 with regards to Mike Palm. I meant chronologically, okay? You are not Mike number 2. I love you both equally. Don't hurt me.
I see how it is. I mean, look, we go way back, all the way to like Lombardi Line when I was doing hits for you every Thursday. We're fellow hockey fans, and yet you put Palm at Mike number 1. I mean, We're going to have to talk about this later.
I
Stormy.
didn't mean to
Not
do you
happy.
dirty, Mike. Just know that I love you so much and I'm sorry. And I am so excited to get into some of this Kentucky Derby prep talk because Ariel and I were talking about this earlier. We are not extremely knowledgeable in this space. And so we rely on people like you who are so good at it, who live, eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. And it's the biggest race in the world that is coming up in less than a month now. How excited are you?
Oh, I'm pumped. I mean, this is a phenomenal Kentucky Derby class. We get Bob Baffert back at Churchill Downs for the first time in a few years, which means you get to insert some of his horses as well. I don't think he has a great shot this year, but he is going to get bet, which is a positive thing if you want to bet the race. We've got Journalism, who won the Santa Anita Derby, who looks absolutely awesome for trainer Mike McCarthy. He's going to be your favorite right now, about 4-1 in most places. If you like Journalism, now is a good time to bet him. He most likely is going to go off as your favorite between 5-2 and 3-1. And we've got a really cool story as well. One of the owners of Sandman is I guess, famous TikToker and famous YouTuber. So over 3 million followers on both of those channels. I'm really interested to see, just from like a gambling perspective, what that is going to do to Sandman's price as well. Right now, he's sitting third in the futures market around 10-1. If half of his followers bet $2 each, that's $3 million into the pool. And it's a $40 million pool. So there's no chance he's 10-1 if you actually do get the following that I expect from his followers out there in social media world.
I've never thought about it that way. I've never thought about how social media has such an impact on the ponies. So how much of your handicap goes into following these horses on social media?
It actually matters more than you'd expect, especially on these big days. There's a famous horse named My Boy Jack that ran in the Kentucky Derby a few years ago, and he was 15-1, 20-1 in all the different future markets. But because his name was Jack, and this is the one day where people just bet horse racing who never bet it before, and there's so many Jacks and Johns and all those people out there, we saw My Boy Jack go off as a second choice at 5-1. So these funky things matter in the Kentucky Derby, and you're going to see Sandman money because of the press that you're already seeing around this famous YouTuber, famous TikToker owning the horse. I think it's going to make a huge difference to the pool. And as someone who doesn't like Sandman at all, I love it. It's a takeout reducer. You can just throw him out anyway.
And that is such a unique wrinkle. If you don't mind sharing for people who are unfamiliar with horse racing, how the betting pool is different from betting like a static, normal MLB game on a daily basis.
Yeah, of course. So it's a pari-mutuel pool. So what that means is that the odds aren't fixed. So when you're in a sports book and you're playing an over 9.5, if you bet it at over 9.5, if millions of dollars come in on the over and it goes off at 10.5, you're still playing at that 9.5 number. In horse racing, the odds change as money enters the pool. So the more money bet on Sandman, for instance, will raise the price of every other horse in the market. And that allows you to take advantage of some of these steam moves based on social media, based on hype versus based on actual skill on the racetrack. So I love it when you get these type of stories in big races. If you don't like the horse, if I liked Sandman, this would be the worst possible thing for me. I'd be wanting to bet him early versus betting him on race day, because you have to expect that type of money's coming in.
What are you expecting to happen, and what are you looking for this weekend in Lexington?
Well, it's going to be a fun race. It's more of a Preakness prep than a Kentucky Derby prep this week. So it's the last prep race heading into the Kentucky Derby. The winner gets 20 Kentucky Derby points. Because of the variance we've seen this year in the preps, it's going to take close to 45 points to be able to get in. So these 20 points aren't a big move here for anyone wanting to get into Kentucky Derby. But there's one horse I'm watching. I like Bullard in the race. He's 9-2 on the morning line. And the reason I want to be focused on this horse is he's coming from California. He ran against some of the horses that were just in the Santa Anita Derby. And I always liken the Kentucky Derby to the NCAA tournament, because you have all these different conferences and you think you know what conference is the best. And then you fill out your bracket based on, okay, I'm going to lean on the SEC. I'm going to lean on the Big Ten. Well, in Kentucky Derby qualifying, you've got the Florida circuit, you've got the Arkansas circuit, you've got the New York circuit, the California circuit, and we don't get to see them cross over all that much. Now, we did see Rodriguez, a California horse, go to New York and win the Wood impressively, so that's a positive for the California circuit. If Bullard comes out and is able to win tomorrow, I think that's another plus for the California circuit and just another notch in journalism's belt.
Great stuff. And as a journalism major, I think I might just have to fire on journalism on name and concept alone. And obviously, you mentioned it. He was fantastic in the Santa Anita. So we'll see how that plays out. Reminder again, everybody, VSiN at the Track on the VSiN YouTube channel coming up in just about 40 minutes or so. So make sure you have that dialed up and locked in. Now, in addition to the horse racing, Mike, you bet so many things. You're so knowledgeable in so many areas. You are somebody who bets daily baseball. So when you looked at the MLB card today, saw all 30 teams in action, I'm sure that there is at least one wager or two that's in pocket for you. What did you like?
Yeah, we've got a couple here. And look, betting baseball every day is a grind. I mean, again, it goes back to the variance. You can have pitchers have bad days, but it's a sport that I love to bet and like to bet lower denominations, but more games. And so the first one on the board for me here, let's look at Kansas City and Cleveland. You've got phenomenal pitching weather in Cleveland. And this is a ballpark early in the season. You generally don't see a ton of runs. You got Tanner Beebe on the mound for Cleveland. He has been pretty good, especially at home. I think his underlying numbers don't necessarily show how good he has been. And you've got on the road Bubic here, who's pitching for Kansas City, who's had 8 strikeouts in both of his first 2 starts. I focus mainly on starting pitcher handicap. So I play a lot of first fives, especially if I like the under. I don't want to deal with the extra inning rules. I don't want to deal with bullpens. This is a spot where I do think both starting pitchers have an advantage against the teams they're facing. So let's take the under 3.5 runs here in the first 5. Beebe also in 100 at-bat sample size, allowing just a 198 average to Kansas City batters who are projected to be in the lineup today. So another positive here for the pitching in Cleveland.
Yeah, I have the same approach at those unders with the extra innings and ghost runners. You want nothing to do with a full game under sometimes. You're going the opposite way, though, out in Sacramento with the Mets and the Athletics. How much of liking an over is just off of the Sacramento trends, 5-1 to the over so far this year?
It's definitely a big part of it, Ariel. And it's the road team 5-1 to the over on their team total as well. I don't think people fully understand the difference in the ballpark here. You have a ballpark that they were playing in Oakland, which had massive foul ground territory. There's almost no foul ground territory, and the dimension's very similar to what we saw in Oakland, but the elevation completely different. The spin rate from pitchers has been down, and JP Sears specifically has been bottom 20% in spin rate in Major League Baseball since the beginning of last year, which takes into account a bunch of those starts in Oakland where the ball was spinning well for him. So I think this is a great situation here to take the over. You've got 2 weaker pitchers on the mound. Sears specifically, I think, gets hit today. You've got a couple home run props if you're interested in them. I think Lindor and Soto, who both hit left-hander pitching very well. Lindor specifically hit 33% of his homers against lefties last year and just 25% of his at-bats. He's at plus 400 in some places. So I like this Mets offense, which I'm not going to say very much this year. Today in Sacramento, I took them over their team total 4.5, and I like the game over 9.5 as well.
I'm both surprised and impressed that you went back to the well on saying JP Sears specifically, because try to say that 5 times fast. It's not going to go great. Very impressive, my friend. Last thing before we let you go, got about 90 seconds. We both are invested in the same game on the short NHL card today. Devils and Penguins going head to head. I'm on the over for the 5.5 for the game. You took an alternate approach on New Jersey. What did you like?
Don't mind the over here, Stormy. New Jersey likes to score goals and doesn't mind giving them up every now and then as well. So don't hate the over. But I'm going to lay the goal and a half here with New Jersey. I'm going to take the plus 130 number on it. It's a situation where Pittsburgh is playing their 7th road game in 9 games. In the 6 previous road games in this stretch, they are just 1-5. Only one of those losses they kept within a goal. This is a Pittsburgh team that's just getting tired. And at this point, with these road games stacking up and them all being meaningless for them, I think it's a great chance to play against a Penguins team that's not very good anyway. So we'll lay the goal and a half of the Devils here and take that plus 130 price.
They are a bad defensive team. They're out of the playoffs, so they're not going to try harder to play defense now. So I completely agree with that thought process. Mike, you're the man. Appreciate your time as always, and have a great show. VSiN at the Tracks a little bit later.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, head over to the YouTube page, VSiN at the Track. We're just right after Money Moves ends, just right over to YouTube.
Pop right over. It's that simple. Mike Somich, everybody, follow him on X at SamaBomb18, and you get all those Sama Bombs when you listen and watch the VSiN at the Track, again, live on the YouTube page at VSiN Live. Every Friday leading up to the Kentucky Derby, you're going to find that action available for you. We're going to take a quick timeout, wrapping up this Friday edition of Money Moves with our best bets coming up after this. We'll be back in a flash.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Friday shows to me are one of those things that either goes really fast or really slow because you're like, oh man, it's almost the weekend. It's almost time to get out of here and end the day and all of that stuff. But sometimes it's also just like really, really quickly because we're vibing. We've got great guests. And I feel like today is one of those days where it's gone by really, really fast. I love all of the information we've got. Great spots today from Will Hill, Mike Somich, Mike Palm. Very appreciative of all of them. Again, there is no Mike number 1 and Mike number 2. It was just chronological. I love everyone. But now it is time for our best bets of the day, Ariel, and I am pumped to get into it. Best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. We've got action kind of all across the board, multiple sports today. So where do you want to start? What's one of your best bets that you want to cement into the account today?
Obviously, it's a strikeout prop. I'm going with Eduardo Rodriguez over 5.5 strikeouts, plus 110. He's the D-backs left-hander, and he's averaging just under 8 strikeouts a game when up against strikeout-prone teams, and that's what he's up against with this matchup tonight with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are averaging just over 6 strikeouts a game against lefty starters this year. 4 of the 6 starters, southpaw starters, to go against the Brewers this season have gone over their strikeout prop. Eduardo Rodriguez, solely because of having 5 against the Cubs and then I guess 12 against Washington, for some reason they're still pricing this at 5.5. I know he's on the road, but it didn't matter last year. As long as you strike out a lot, Eduardo Rodriguez will strike you out a lot. So take the over 5.5 Ks for good value at plus 110.
All for it. Last segment, we were talking with Mike Somich about this Penguins-Devils game. He was on the Devils puck line, which I have since in the commercial break added that to the account, even though I already have a bet on this game over 5.5. And there are still 5.5 out there. 6s are popping though. So I would bet the over now if this is something that you're interested in before we're 6s across the board. The Devils are in a spot where they have secured a playoff spot. They're going to play the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. They're good. Penguins are eliminated from the playoffs and are bad. And it is one of those situations where the Devils, even though they don't need to win, they're still going to. They are scoring goals a lot. They also can give some up. And so the over is the initial play that I went with, but also just because of what Mike was saying about how the Pens just like loosey-goosey, sloppy play. We know they're a bad defensive team, and they're also they're capable of scoring, but not a lot. So I think that adds to our play on the total here. And the fact that you're getting the Devils puck line -1.5 at plus 135 in some places, I would jump on that just because it seems like an easy W to put into the account. I mean, not easy W in terms of like a betting thing, but for the New Jersey Devils in general, they should be able to handle business here with ease. You look at, yes, they had that one good win against the Dallas Stars, but they beat Chicago, who cares? And they also lost 3-1 to Chicago. The Devils are just a significantly better team. So that's the way that I'm going here in this one. What's next for you?
Probably another strikeout prop. I haven't gotten to dive deep into the NBA yet, but I'll go NBA just because a friend of mine, Hakeem, gave me this trend with the Phoenix Suns. And I do like it because I've been betting a lot of rebound props against the Suns. Unfortunately, it's the Spurs, so I'm probably not betting rebound props. But opponent's team total over 16-2 without Kevin Durant this year. The last 8 games, Phoenix has allowed just under 129 points a game. Phoenix allowing 122 or more in 7 of the last 8. So you're getting a team that, like, you're going to have Spurs have been shooting the 3 really well from the corner, especially, and that's where the Suns have struggled. So I would go look at that team total over for the Spurs. It could be a spot that people aren't really looking at because it looks like a gross game, but the Suns are ready to go on vacation. Season's over. They're eliminated. Spurs season has already been over for since Wemby went out, which we were actually on the show together when Wemby was out, by the way. That was a big day.
Yeah, that was breaking news. And I remember thanking my lucky stars for you that day because you had already put together all of the data with and without Wemby in the lineup because you knew he was going to be out that day specifically. And I was like, I have the perfect co-host for what's happening right now. But well played. That game, by the way, the spread, San Antonio getting 5.5, total 232.5. Now, this is not a best bet yet, but I need to consult my NBA gal on this one because I'm contemplating laying the massive number that we have with the Boston Celtics today. And I want to check to make sure that this is still 19.5, which is just, again, it's a little bit absurd. So
I'm excited to hear what you said you have to back it.
So here we go. 19.5. Boston Celtics are laying at home against the Charlotte Hornets. Lineup wise, we know that Boston didn't play anybody the other day. They scored 76 points. It's whatever. Tonight, we are expected to have the guys in there. Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Porzingis. Meanwhile, for the Hornets, no Josh Green, Miles Bridges out of the lineup. Now listen to this. In terms of this spread, because you think this is massive, I can't do it. It's disgusting. Well, get this. Charlotte has lost 3 of its last 4 by 20 or more points. Their average losses on the road the last 2 months by 21.6 points per game. And I thought this was a fun nugget that I saw online. It was Boston 6-4 ATS after a loss this season. You think, okay, does that really make sense in this spot with such a big spread? 11 of those wins were by 20 or more points. So give me the Boston Celtics with the better lineup. Makes sense given how badly the Charlotte Hornets have lost and how much margin of victory the Celtics have won in this spot. I kind of want to lay this massive, disgusting, hold your nose number.
You know what annoys me about this game? The last game of the regular season is on Sunday. Guess who they play? Each other. I don't even know. It's like the same team back to back in the NBA. I hate those spots because it's like a precursor to why I hate the NBA playoffs. You have to go with teams that don't necessarily play each other 2 games in a row. So whatever doesn't happen in this game is probably going to happen in the game on Sunday. That's just the laws of basketball betting. Stormy, maybe we look at like a first half number. I don't know if your trends holds for a first half. I just get so worried. The Celtics are locked into a 2. I'm so worried that they're just going to throw themselves out there to stay in shape and not get rusty for the playoffs. But like, are they really going to play full minutes to the point of covering a 20-point spread, which is essentially what your numbers are going off of, is them mostly playing their starters, no?
Yeah, I would say like the motivation factor, of course, it's not there. So maybe that is the angle where you go first half. But I'm just thinking like, I don't know necessarily if Boston has to try that hard even to win by that margin against this Charlotte
Maybe you look
Hornets
at Mark
team,
Williams' points or rebounds somewhere, the center for the Hornets.
Ways.
He's pretty much the only starter.
I don't think I can even talk myself into it, but I thought it was worth the ask. It was worth the ask. I still have a couple more things in the account. You have anything else best bets wise you want to make sure we get out here?
Yeah, I still really like that under for Reese Olson to go under his strikeout prop of 5.5. Just don't see him getting there with the way the Twins have not been striking out. They're averaging just under 4 strikeouts a game against right-handers. Only 3 pitchers have gone over against Minnesota so far this year. Reese Olson being on the road in Minnesota, he struck out 4 in 5 innings last season when he was in this spot. So I would say under 5.5 Ks. And I do agree with Mike number 2, who's not the real Mike number 2, but I do agree with his overs out in Sacramento. Of course, you've got that trend of 5-1 to the over in Sacramento for the Oakland Athletics. Well, Athletics now home games. I keep doing that. But the Mets lineup is very good, and they are very good against lefties. Juan Soto is very good against lefties. Lindor is very good against lefties. So that Mets team total over is intriguing, especially against JP Sears, who I don't fully trust. And I also think that when you have pitchers, which is what my handicap of Canning was, because he's the Mets starter tonight, for a lot of these pitchers that have not gone to Sacramento yet, a lot of them are struggling. So the away teams are struggling pitching wise because they don't really know how bad this park is for them yet. So I would say that over out in Sacramento is intriguing for night number 1 of this series.
Yeah, I agree. And not a best bet for me, but worth noting. We discussed this earlier. Something I did fire on at -140, and it is juiced, is the JP Sears under 4.5 strikeouts for me. I'm a strikeout prop dabbler. Okay. I'm not day in and day out.
But again, if the Mets hit him hard, then it could be correlated to him not making it far.
So that's kind of my thought process there. I also did fire on Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases today against the Giants at +110. It's just, he's had a good matchup with Robbie Ray historically, and he's hitting so well to start the year. 356 home runs, last 10 games, over 2.2 total bases per game. And I also added a Connor McDavid over 2.5 shots on goal against the Sharks. They are so depleted offensively right now, and Connor McDavid's one of the best players in the world. The Sharks they're a nobody team. They're going to lose. It's whatever. They're terrible. They have nothing to play for. With that in mind, if they're playing no defense and Connor McDavid is on the ice, he's going to be firing. Maybe an anytime goal even is worth a look for Connor McDavid today, who had 3 assists the other night against the Blues. That's a wrap for us. Fun show as always, Ariel. And remember, everybody, you got to keep it locked right here on VSiN, because even though we are done, so much more great content to come here. These best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. You want more information, go to gbank.com, vsin.com, /GBank. Got a great bonus right now, $250 for new customers who spend $1,000 in their first 90 days. But prop points coming up next, and Follow the Money is at the pool this evening. Check it out.